Wow, we would have never believed this. You can listen to us on our podcast. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on Google. Go out there and listen to us when you're driving to work, or maybe when you're just sitting at home, or you're on the treadmill at the gym. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too.
In the championship playoffs, he injured his finger. I don't know if you remember that. And so he flew to Atlanta to see an orthopedic surgeon who's well known, got stem cell injected,
and finished it,
and then won. Right? Like come back and wins the next game. And
what, did I miss this? What the heck?
Yeah, but they don't tell you this stuff, right? Like nobody knows
because everybody would just been going to get it. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, we're so glad you joined us for another episode of Muscles Matters, right? We're here with Dr. Collins, Curt Collins. He's with Invista Medical Neck and Back Center, and he's also has the Tomorrow Doctor. I love the way that sounds, Curt.
Yeah.
I love that. Doesn't roll off your tongue. Tomorrow's Doctor.
I'm just going to keep my mouth quiet until I get to shoot my machine gun.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm going to sit here and be quiet.
Steve's ready, excited for this episode because he's been talking about stem cells. Curt came in with lunch break in our first season. He was in our first season, episode 25. You need to check it out. Curt's got a great backstory, and as you had that backstory, Curt, give us a little idea of where you came from, because you played football for San Diego.
Yep.
And tell us about that journey and what brought you into the healing industry.
Well, yeah, just local guy, Bakersfield High School here, got a full ride scholarship, part of a great football team back then, and was really a
Who was that guy?
So Pat Preston was the head coach back at the time.
And the guy was you.
Yeah. Well, and we had a bunch of guys on the team.
I know you're a humble man.
And so got a scholarship down there, and really didn't have a great football career, but got through, had some injuries, and ended up getting sick afterwards. So I made it through school, kind of powered through, and then came home, was coaching at West High School. I had the freshman boys there, was going to teach. Actually was teaching out at Fairfax Junior High, and just depressed, fatigued, trouble waking up. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, my bed would be soaking wet. I'd see somebody and I'd have a hard time. I know you, but I can't think about it.
And you're a young guy.
Oh, I was 24, 5, probably 26, 27 at the time. And this isn't right. So I did what most people did, went and saw the medical doctors. Luckily, still covered under my parents' Kaiser insurance at the time. And I must have saw 7, 8 medical doctors, test, nothing's wrong with you. And I remember the last medical doctor that I sat down with, and he said, I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? Kind of like, I've been here, it's been 6 months, you've run tests, you poked, I pooped, you've stuck stuff up my nose, like you've done,
I had those tests. Yeah, I've been there.
And he's like, son, we got nothing more for you. You need to go look somewhere else. And the football player in me wanted to get the machine gun out, right? And just kind of pop him one. And I later figured out he was just telling me conventional medicine doesn't have answers. You need to go look. And back then it was alternative medicine. So I started looking into alternative medicine stuff. Realized, what we eat does matter.
Ooh, that's right there. It resonates with you, huh, Steve?
That's my current work on. That's figuring out the gut. It manifests out of the gut.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So what you put in matters.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. The Bible says that what goes in really doesn't affect our outward behavior, but what goes in does affect our livelihood, our life essence. It does. So
I had to learn the hard way. I got sick.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out what it was. And
I didn't know that, Steve.
Yes. I got very, very sick, very, very, very ill. And it was had everything to do with the gut. Had everything to do with the gut. Bad medication and gut does not make a good combination.
Oh yeah, then you get sick, they give you the antibiotics, and what does that do to your gut?
Oh, nothing. They did the same thing. Yeah. They did the same thing they did to you. No, bro, there's nothing wrong with you, because I kept thinking I was having heart attacks.
Oh wow.
I was going in and they didn't know something's wrong, nothing wrong, and they slapped me on the butt and say, "No, you're fine, go away." And it actually took a resident, the doctors that just working, to take pity on me and go, "No, bro, there's something wrong with your gut." And I had to get a piece of paper and just start Googling and figuring things out. And that was my 10-year journey of my 40s, figuring things out on what worked for my gut, what didn't work for my gut, what caused pains, what didn't cause pain.
And really, I think all three of us can say, what did the younger me do to the older me?
Not drink water?
Right? Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
did a lot of stuff
Oh,
in,
no,
our,
yeah.
in our athletic careers.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't.
You had to do what you had to do to get through. And
Well, we were young and dumb. Is that the
When
right
you wake
word?
up in the morning
Yeah.
and the first stream is the color of this table,
Yeah.
then you're like, oh, nothing's wrong with me. Drink some
Yeah.
more.
I'm filtering fine. I'm filtering fine.
Yeah, so a combination of that and running head first into people wasn't good for me either. So I had some misalignments in the upper neck that were putting pressure on my brainstem. And so a process of getting that corrected with an upper cervical chiropractor, Fred Mills here, that was retired now, is my chiropractor for 25 years. And then detoxing, learning how to eat, fixing my gut, just took my health into a level that I don't think most people get experienced in their life. From like sick and tired to like, I sleep 5 hours, I have a photographic memory, I breeze through chiropractic school, could just cram for a test. And so I'm like, man, I got to do this. I got to teach people about this stuff.
What would you say was the basic for gut health? Just like the flat line, if somebody looked at you tomorrow and said, hey, what is the basic? What is the meat and potatoes, for lack of better verbiage?
I'm going to hold right here because we're going to take a break and we're going to go to one of our sponsors.
Dr. Curt Collins here with Invista Medical Neck and Back Center here in Bakersfield. So the reason I got into doing what I do, which is helping people overcome pain or health challenges, is I suffered my whole life with health challenges, struggling with energy, focus, and was able to, through education and other doctors that were willing to take the time to educate me and help me learn how my body functioned, I was able to achieve a level of health and wellness in my 30s that I really didn't know was possible. So I love doing that for other people. I've been doing it now for 20 years. So if you or a loved one are suffering with a health or a pain challenge and want to learn the secrets on how to overcome that and find the quickest, most efficient path to achieve your health goals, I'd love to meet you.
Hey, hope you like that because you're looking at the guy who just did the infomercial. So go ahead and ask your question again, Steve.
Okay, so if somebody was to walk in and just look at you and go, hey, my gut is really, like when I had no clue. Nobody would help me out. Couldn't figure it out. What would you say, for lack of better verbiage, what is the meat and potatoes of fixing your gut?
Yeah.
What does it start with?
Well, you could get really, really complicated on that, right? Or like, so there's kind of different approaches for me in healthcare. Like you could be targeted and specific, and now they got tests, man. You could poop, they can test it, they can tell you what bacteria you need. You could tailor make a program, and this is like a whole specialty within healthcare now, functional medicine doctors. Or you can just go, I know what's good, I know what's bad. Let me limit the bad and increase the good. So obviously, like if you're eating a bunch of processed stuff, chemical stuff, fluoride in the water, antibiotics, you're destroying and killing off the
Stop
bacteria,
it.
right?
Just stop it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So us in the ministry sometimes tell people, just stop doing what you're doing.
Now,
and you'll be
most
better.
people will run out and get some sort of probiotic.
Yeah.
And the first thing they do is yogurt. Can
Yeah.
you tell them?
Yeah, well, I mean, yogurt, if you're buying commercial yogurt, that's like sugar. That's like thinking you're drinking like a energy drink and you're getting something healthy, right?
Yes.
It's got vitamins in there. It's got to be good for me.
So
right?
they
nice.
say, yes.
My skin
It's got
tingles.
water and vitamins in there,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
I love that niacin. Oh, I feel it working. I go, what's the symptoms? My skin's tingling. Yeah, that'd be a lot of niacin.
Yes, it's in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously fermented stuff, right? So if you're getting natural yogurt, you're going to have some good stuff in there, right? But if you've been killing your system for decades and you really got to deplete, you got to get some really high quality, high numbered, diversified prebiotics, probiotics, to really reset the system. And it can take months for people.
Well, and see, I think that's the thing that I think even when people come to you, Steve, sometimes they don't want to give it a month, right? They want it like now. And I think some of the things you're talking about as a fundamental diet, it's like just trial and error, right?
Yeah.
and I don't think that's the way people get better. It's not the way you got better.
No,
You went to the mats
Right.
with your health. You did too. I mean, and I love the idea about getting professional help. Going to see you, Steve, with nutrition. Going to see you, Curt, for an adjustment. I mean, I tell people all the time. They'll say, "Do you believe in chiropractic?" I go, "Absolutely," because I hurt when I go in. How many times have I been to your office and I feel better when I'm leaving? I just do. I just do.
Now, when it comes to, I'm just going to stay on the subject of the gut. When it comes to the probiotics and the prebiotics, once again, people think they can get it in a pill. You have to replace that living bacteria in your gut, and you can't get it from a pill because that means the bacteria is already dead.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's refrigerated stuff, right? So some high quality stuff refrigerated that they can encapsulate, that I think has some good, benefit. Obviously, eating fermented stuff, is a good natural way to do it.
Now, when coming fermented, if you Google fermented, the first thing comes up is sauerkraut.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Sauerkraut is awesome, right? If you're getting good stuff, right? If you're getting good sauerkraut, right? That's been around for thousands of years. Kind of, one of the longevity kind of tricks of the people that have been healthy throughout the years in those blue zones is eating the kimchi, the sauerkraut, the fermented, different natural things. But again, they didn't live a lifestyle of abusing their body, the way we've done in Western civilization over the last.
So I
50
can't
years.
love it and have it my way, huh?
Yeah, you can, but within moderation. Depending on where you're sick,
Yes.
Like how sick are you? Like if you're really, really sick, you don't got a lot.
No,
of
that
room
was a
for error
jab at the
there,
fast food. That was a jab at the fast food industry.
So, for layman's term, the blue zones are the ones that are living longer than not living longer, right?
Yeah, I think there's 9 of them that they've researched and documented as blue zones or longevity hotspots around the world where people live to be 100 years old. They don't have cancer, and there's certain trademarks they've kind of researched and studied scientifically on what they do differently than the rest of the
Well,
world.
you both know kind of how I feel nowadays. People look at me at 64 and go, hey, if you do this, you'll live 10 more years. I go, you know what? I'm not sure the next 10 years are my best years. I want to be around. I want to be a grandparent, but I'm not rolling the dice on those 10. Those 10 have passed. So I'm going to spend it more on things that you are providing and things that you're doing, Steve. So as a journey, you went to school. You breezed through chiropractic school.
Yeah. So I came out, excited about chiropractic. Chiropractic really has a philosophy that our bodies can heal themselves,
Yes.
right? The first.
Where does that come from?
Yeah. So there's 33 principles of chiropractic, and there's a universal intelligence. Oh, God. Yeah. And he created stuff, and there's an innate intelligence inside of us. Oh, the Holy Spirit, right? And this heals us and repairs us, So that's literally the foundation in which I didn't know, And so I just really got excited about, man, I can go out there, I can adjust people, I can unlock that communication between the brain and body and let God heal them from the inside out,
Body, soul, spirit. The Bible
Yeah.
talks
Yes.
about that. You have to involve them all. I like that.
Yeah, so I got super excited about that. and
Was
did
there
that.
a moment where something came against that, or how did that work? I mean, you found it, you went to school, and then what's that next thing? Just go to work, or what did you do?
Yeah, so I thought, I went to school, I got this philosophy, I've been successful in everything in life, so I'm just going to go out there and open my practice, and things are going to go great. And that, of course, that doesn't work like that. It worked like for that, I'm sure, when you opened your first business. Yeah, you just open it up and everybody
People just
flooded in.
beat the door
It was
down,
so
right?
amazing.
Yeah, they're standing outside waiting for me to open the door. Yeah.
Hey, you have to come back tomorrow.
Yeah. So I struggled for a while in practice, and then I ended up buying a guy's practice after about 6 months. I was doing okay, seeing 20, 30 patients a week or whatever, paying the bills, barely making it. And when I bought his practice, he moved, and just kind of from there is like I just had like 10 years of just enjoying practice, seeing a lot of people, helping a lot of people.
You do help a lot of people. There again, I try to send everybody I know to you, Steve, for the nutrition, and you for, getting people back in line.
And all 3 of them have come in.
I try. What else can I do? I'm
No, we appreciate
trying.
that. We love
So
you.
no, I like it. So as you did that, what drove you? Because I know one of the things that we're on here today and talking about, and I know Steve's going to be able to dig in on this one. What drove you to STEM?
Yeah, well, actually, I was practicing, and I decided I wanted to do more than just chiropractic. I had this man, my health history, man, I got to do more than just get adjusted. I mean, for me, if my neck goes out, I'm going downhill. But I also got to eat, I got to fast, I got to work out, I got to drink my water. And so I always wanted to give more to my patients. But when you're in there, and I feel for the medical doctors. I mean, they got 6 minutes with you, and they're like, you're out, right? They don't got time to do what Steve and I can do. We got time. We'll sit down, we'll talk to you, we'll consult you, we'll figure out what's going on.
Steve will give you his whole day.
Yeah.
I know that
because
for
he's
a
a
fact.
purpose-driven guy, right?
Yes.
He wants to help people, and the doctors do too, for the most part. But I couldn't do that as a chiropractor. Like I got 200 patients a week. I got 5 minutes with them, and so I went to a business training to learn how to become a business owner and not a chiropractor. And in that business training, one of the chiropractors there, Dad, had a miracle result with his knees and stem cells. And I just happened to be, that when God's got a plan for you,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Just happened to be at the right place in the right time and meet the right guy. And so he was going to fly to Germany and pull his own stem cells out of his bone marrow, expand them, and inject them back to his knees. It was $30,000, similar to what like Tom Brady and Kobe Bryant, all those guys were flying out of the country and doing 7, 8, 9 years ago. And so he ended up finding a doctor in Atlanta that used umbilical cord and placental tissue matrix, which nobody really knew about in 2014 when this was going down, and got an amazing result. So they actually canceled the trip to Germany, and we got together, 10 of us, and he invited me because I just happened to be there, and goes, hey, we want to blow this thing up. We want to get it out. We want to educate the communities. So we put a PowerPoint together. We started running ads, and we started running lectures for people on what stem cells are, how do they do, can they help you? And so I had so much fun with that. I literally just hired another chiropractor to come in and run my practice, delegated out, and I just went on the road and did that for 3 years and just had a great time doing it.
I love it. Well, there again, one of the things that I have always told you is my experience with you. And I'm telling people that, and I've told so many athletes, I even told you, Steve, that, I went to, we had a mutual friend, John McCormick, and John's like, Tom, because he worked out with me, and he wanted to do a little more leg work training, and my knee's bad. I said, my knee's bad. He goes, well, maybe Curt can help you. So I went in, Curt, and you know me, we've been friends for a long time. And I went in, and I just got to say, it's been nothing short of a miracle for my knee. You knew that. I mean, I went in, we did PRP.
Yeah.
And then, and you guys can explain what that is. And then I took the stem cell injections in my knee, and I gave it the proper time because everybody told me, hey, don't train your lower body for, I think it was 6 months.
Yeah, 3 to 6 months
Yep.
is a good window
Yep.
for most people.
Yeah, because I wanted it to work.
Yeah.
So I listened to what you said, and I can squat. I can do any leg press movement that I haven't been able to do for 30 years.
Wow.
And so, I've told you that story.
Yeah,
and so it just is.
Still,
for
it's good
me,
to hear it, though. I love it. I love when
well,
people
that's
get
why I've
better,
always
yeah.
wanted to told you. I wanted to get you on the show so I could explain that. Because for me, it was, but I do know that not everybody gets the same experience.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you and Steve want to tear that apart, but go ahead.
I'm just waiting to be able to fire questions.
You're right. You're
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
So,
Shoot them.
Don't wait no more.
Come on.
all right, when we talk about stem cell, most people don't understand stem cell other than the fact that they've heard it.
Yeah.
And you've got, for lack of better verbiage, the poor man's stem cell, which is constantly promoted, which is just pretty much a step above the PRP.
Yeah.
Which is simply you're taking your blood, you're spinning, you're coagulating, you're injecting some sort of hormone product to make it better, which isn't the stem that you guys are talking about because you caught me when you were talking about the placebo because there are different levels of stem.
100%. 100%.
And each level is more healing than the level before.
Yeah.
So depending on the type of injury you have to assess what you're coming in for your stem for.
Yeah.
In order to get the proper one. My fascination with stem cell came from watching Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
and it was Mel Gibson. It was the Mel Gibson episode.
Oh, yeah. Great one.
And that's when he did
I'm
the
the only one here that
placebo.
didn't watch that.
Oh, you got to watch it.
Right, he
Just
did-
get the 13-minute version.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they did the baby.
Joe can talk. 4 or 5 hours.
And
right?
they got the top one, and it healed his father.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Great
that's where
story.
I'm like, okay, there's levels to this, and most people don't understand the levels. So,
Yeah.
do you offer all the levels all the way up?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Well,
need to know
well,
information. that needs to
I
be
did
out.
the PRP, and I didn't understand it, but then Curt explained it to me, and I got about 65%. I told you that. I got about 65%, but we weren't just going for the PRP because Curt says you're going to come back for STEM, and the PRP, like it's like the laser targeting for the STEM, right?
I like to call it like it prepares the joint for the stem cells. So what the PRP does, it's got the platelets in there. So for those who don't know, PRP's platelet-rich plasma, right? Do a blood draw, spin it down in a centrifuge, and then throw away the red blood cells, re-inject the plasma and the platelets. So platelets tell your body you have a new injury, right? Remember learning in school, you cut yourself, the platelets come in there, and then I always thought it was the platelets that healed, right? But it's not the platelets that heal. They literally just send signals that call stem cells, cytokines, other things into the area to heal. So the problem with an old chronic knee injury like yours, 30 years, is your body's given up on healing it. It said,
I
so
gave
it's
up
done.
I gave up on
Yeah.
healing it.
So what we like to do is stick the PRP in it, and then that tells your body you got a new injury. Let's try to heal it. And then it starts trying to recruit stem cells into that area to heal. But as you're older, you've got less stem cells. They're not as potent. They don't heal as more. So there's going to be a limit to what PRP can do for people based on the degree of the injury, how old they are, what their overall health and fitness levels are, how hydrated they
So
are.
ba-
And you knew me.
Yeah.
So my fitness level was high for my age.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a good. It's good to have a relationship with the people that you trust.
Yeah.
And that's why we promote, Sportslanders West. We're promoting, Invista Medical Neck and Back Center. So you got to have people you trust.
So we put the PRP in to get the joint ready. I think we wait like 2 to 6 weeks typically, and then we're going to put some type of cellular product in. And I'll really blow your mind. We go down. That's not even stem cells we're using, like they're medicinal signaling cells. Like the Arnold Kaplan, who's actually known as the father of stem cells, that named them 30 years ago in his research, or whatever. I actually went and saw him in Newport Beach 4 or 5 years ago, and they're not even really stem cells we're using. They're medicinally signaling cells, which have very similar effects to the stem cells. So we can go down that rabbit hole too. But, so yeah, in the U.S., you got different products. The problem with the U.S. with everything is the FDA, right?
Yes.
They want to limit what we can do as providers. If it's a non-drug patented procedure, they want to limit what
no
you
money
can
in
do.
the healing.
Yeah, so here in the U.S., a lot of what's being done is not stem cell, being called stem cell, as you kind of alluded to, or it's very low quality stem cells that have been cryopreserved. There's a very low number of them. The viability rates are all things that we talked about in that statute. If you really to get the best viable stem cells legally and ethically, unfortunately, you have to travel out of the country, and that's why we have labs set up in Colombia, South America. We're opening one up in Costa Rica at the end of the year, and our goal is to have 3 to 5 more in the next 3 years.
Now,
up around
the
world.
ones that you're talking about out of the country, those are the ones for internal injuries, like something is wrong, where you said you're connecting the PRP and you're making a bridge on something that already exists. It doesn't exist anymore, so now you have to build the bridge. For lack of better verbiage, is that correct?
Yes and no. I mean,
I'm following you.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. So for out of the country, you're going to get better quality at a less cost. Because in the U.S. we're not allowed to expand tissue unless you're in like a research study or something, which is difficult to get into. So they're going to take a slice of the umbilical cord, they're going to cryopreserve it. And of course you got a lot of different labs with different quality products, very hard sometimes even for the doctors to understand what labs have good products, what don't. But you might have a 10,000, you might have 500,000, you might have 3 million actual MSCs in there. Whereas out of the country, they can grow and expand them. So they can isolate the stem cell, put it in a Petri dish, feed it, and then 2 weeks later, you got 50 million, 100 million, 150 million stem cells.
And in that situation, they're actually continuing to grow, which makes for the healing quicker, correct?
Well, it's going to give you a higher quality and count of stem cells. They're not frozen, they're fresh, kind of like, not a great analogy, but frozen vegetables versus fresh vegetables or whatever. We have to take those stem cells, add a preservative to them, and cryopreserve them, keep them on nitrogen, thaw them out. The minute you start thawing them out, some of them start to die off, and you got to inject them into the body. So we're not going to get the same high quality and quantity here in the U.S., although we do great work here.
Yes.
Because we're going to use PRP, growth factors, placental tissue matrix. So if you got a joint condition, we can generally handle that if you get a good provider that's got good product in the U.S. Okay. But for the systemic stuff, where you're treating Parkinson's, MS, post-COVID.
Yeah, that's what I'm going at.
Yeah, that's when you want to get out of the country for sure.
Yes, and that's when we fall back. That's the things that can heal kidneys, livers, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, as I there again, as I share my experience with my knee, another thing that Curt did for me was he gave me intravenous stem cells.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting because I walked out of there not smarter. I did feel different. And as I've talked about this before, my doctor, and I won't tell what hospitals he worked for, a very prestigious one, and I told you that I got in trouble when I saw him because he gave me permission to do it. Then after I did it, he's like, "What?" I go, "No, you gave me permission to do it." But I didn't tell him I did the intravenous because I was getting enough heat from my knee. I was like, "Whoa!" But as I did have a heart issue, and they thought my heart would be a lot worse than it was, once they came back to go, actually, we're expecting more problems, but you don't have that. And I always go back and go, I think it was that intravenous stem cell. Yeah. I think it went in there, and there again, my thing is, it went in there and did its job.
Yes, absolutely. Did what it was designed to do.
And as you said, it kind of rolls around the body. When it finds a problem, it fixes it.
That's what they do.
And then when they run out, they run out. Yeah. And so if you have some more fixing to do, but I did talk to my doctor, and he said that is probably the best form of Alzheimer's treatment that they're getting, because it actually travels through the brain cell, the veins in your brain.
Oh yeah, CTE, post-concussion stuff, Alzheimer's, dementia, MS, Parkinson's. That's the future. The NFL's getting into this. They're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars for their guys doing it. They're just not talking about it publicly yet.
Well, and why is that?
It's the FDA and Big Pharma. Tony Robbins does a really good book in his first 7 or 8 tracks.
I listened to Tony on stem cells.
Yeah, he really explains it well, I think, as Tony does the best, but really we're really close to having patented stem cell products, and those are going to be $100,000 an injection, right? So that's billions and billions with a B.
Now,
of
with
money.
that 100,000, you're talking about what we were discussing earlier, the top shelf.
Well, it's going to be genetically modified stem cell.
Okay.
Because you can't, the whole war here is when we were able to do stem cells, and they came in June in 2019 and told us to stop. I believe it was 2020 when FDA wrote a letter, sent it out to the labs.
You got a postal service delivered.
Yeah, they sent it to the labs and then kind of just posted on the website. It's still out there, and basically saying, hey, you guys need to slow down. You should not be doing this intravenously, because they're they're trying
You
to.
didn't give my name, right?
No, I did not.
Okay.
But now they got it.
We'll see.
So you gotta,
Go ahead.
Tiffany, you go get that. See who it is. So anyways, we're really close to getting a patented stem cell product, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to protect the pharmaceutical companies and I get it from a business standpoint. It's 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, 5 years, 10 years to get a patented product. So they're trying to protect that system. Right, so they're going to have the osteoarthritis of the knee first. If you listen to Tony's book, that's probably less than a year to 2 years out. They're going to genetically modify the stem cell, so we'll have a predictive, so they can patent that process, not the actual tissue of the stem cell, if that makes sense.
So before Steve asks the next question, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Dr. Curt Collins here with Invista Medical Neck and Back Center here in Bakersfield. There's 3 questions everybody's going to have. One, can you help me? Obviously, we can't answer that question until we get a chance to meet you, see what's going on. But I can tell you it's very rare where I can't sit down and help somebody find out what that next step or 2 steps are that they need to take if they want to live a higher quality life. The other question they're going to have is, can I afford it? Is this something that's affordable? And because we have such a passion and purpose to help people, it's very rare where we can't figure out a plan that fits easily within their financial budget. And then obviously they want to know, do you care about me? And that's something you'll learn about our whole team, is we're very on purpose and we have a passion to help people, and you'll see that throughout our organization. It's something that we hold as a high standard for what we're doing. In fact, so much that if we don't think we can help a patient, we literally won't accept them for care in our office, because we care that much about making sure that the plans we put together, people are going to be effective for them.
Hey, there again, we believe on the advertising that we put in front of you. We hope you believe in it too. So, Steve, where are we at?
Now, you were talking about for the knees and the arthritis, so that's going to put our athletes back on the field even longer.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to put us in, those Tom Brady type of players that can play even longer. We get to see our heroes perform even longer.
Oh, yeah, and then injuries. I forget his name. This weekend we were talking about it at a conference. Somebody it was the Greek guy from basketball. What's his name?
Yes, Greek Freak.
Yeah, in the championship playoffs, he injured his finger. I don't know if you remember that. And so he flew to Atlanta to see an orthopedic surgeon who's well known, got stem cell injected,
and finished it,
and then won. Right? Like come back and wins the next game. And
What,
literally,
did I miss this? What the heck?
yeah, but they don't tell you this stuff, right? Like
Yes.
nobody knows.
Because
like,
everybody would just been going to get it, right?
Yeah.
yeah, they don't want us to know this, right?
Yes.
Tom Brady's become Tiger Woods, Kobe
Yeah.
Bryant. I mean, these guys have been cheating for decades and not
Oh.
telling us about it. Yeah, but it's not long
Steve
before.
and I've known about it. We just
Now, the other thing is,
gotta put a finger on it.
with the stem cell, I know with the TRT, you take a weekend course and all of a sudden you're magically able to tell people how to control their hormones.
Online.
Exactly. So for the science of the stem cell, are there levels? There's the guy that got his weekend course, and then the guy that actually studied and did his homework.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not like an accreditation, right, at this point. Like, so that'll come. There's some groups working on that. I'm involved with some of them. And I got to say, I was guilty of that when I first came out. Like, literally, like, I was at a seminar. We got together. We're like, oh, this guy did it. And then so we put a PowerPoint, and then we went out and we started doing stuff. And it was okay, but about 3 to 4 months in that, I realized, wait a minute. like this isn't the right way to do it. And then you'll learn, that's why they kind of call it practicing medicine, right?
Well, I think I was a lab rat for some of the early animals.
But those are the best kind.
They were the best.
When you're the lab rat, you get all the good stuff.
I would have,
this works.
hey, Jeff Feliciano and Dan Duchesne, he's called the steroid guru, would pull up with a little tiny U-Haul behind their car. And it was like, I got to get them before they got to the gym. Say, hey, well, I want that and that and that. So, yeah, I've been there. I've been that lab rat.
So unfortunately, like you can't really say like, oh, this doctor's certified in that or the other. So it's really got like, you got to do a little bit of your own homework. Obviously knowing somebody of ethics and credibility, and that's been in the game for a while.
And that's why I said that out there. I wanted to because you see it offered because it's now the new rave. You see it on every podcast. Everybody talks about it. Stem cell is, and a lot of the things they call STEM is just simply PRP.
Oh yeah.
And you'll see them like I hear people tell me like. Our mutual friend said, and I was like, "That's just PRP."
Yeah,
and it's like that's not that big. That's that big on a price tag.
Yeah.
But they put that word on there, and all of a sudden, it's that big
because it came out of you. You provided your own product.
Yes,
we just enhanced it by spinning it, and we just put it back in.
Yes.
Well, even in the PRP world, you
area.
can't get a consensus on what type of PRP. There's different compounds you put in there to separate. My PRP is better than your PRP, and there's not really a consensus in that. So you could get one PRP.
Put in there, huh?
How do you spin it? How do you separate it out? So even getting one PRP shot versus another PRP shot, it's not a drug. They're not the same, right?
So there's PRP envy too.
There is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, figure that. So right on. I like it.
Now I want to ask one more question.
You got.
Because I just thought about it on STEM. Because I know what PRP.
You're bigger than I am. You can do this.
Because it's on injuries. In our
Tom's
sport,
never been injured.
In our sport, we've got the tears. I've got several muscle tissues that have just torn away. The ligament's still there, but the tissue's like this. No, bro, we quit.
If we're done, I always tell my wife if I'm unconscious and I go someplace, I think I've told you this, and they do an MRI and they come out and say, "Oh my gosh, we have to do all this work." Don't let them do anything but what I'm in there for. Because I've been holding out for 50 years. I don't need it done now.
Now with the stem cell, can you put the tissue back together?
No. I mean, if you got a full tear rip, the stem cell is not going to go in there and attach it.
Okay.
But putting it in there with the surgery,
yes,
that'd make a lot of sense.
Okay, right? And that's why I was asking, because I know it's supposed to regrow tissue. So
now you got 3/4 tear, maybe.
Okay.
Half a tear, probably. 20% tear. I like your odds.
Well, and there again, I mean, I think that's where a person has to know coming in. And I think if you give a reasonable person reasonable information, they'll make a reasonable decision. But I think if you don't give them that, and that's what I love about you guys, because you guys do that in both your respected industries.
Where are all these reasonable people at that you're talking about?
Well, I know. And that's my heart for you guys, is because I've always been in the game. I've always been out there, but I've never been doing it what you guys have been doing, where Steve is learning about nutrition. You're learning about the body and stems and health and how to realign and the impacts that it has. I go to your office and I'm limping and I walk out and I'm fine. Come home, and my wife knows I go, I'm going to go see Curt. She goes, I'll call you. I'll text him and go, can I come in? So
100%. Yeah, I had a patient today come in. She hadn't been in 6 months. She fell 6 months ago, broke something. She's been dizzy walking for 6 months. She comes and goes, I think I need an adjustment. And I'm like, yeah, 6 months ago. Like, what do you think happened when you fall and broke your scapula, right? And we got her neck back in alignment. She literally gets up and goes, oh my God, I'm not dizzy anymore. I'm like, yeah, that's how it works. And then I'm,
Amazing.
So I like that.
Good stuff, man.
So as we go on further, through the process and your achievement, what's next? I know you talked about the Tomorrow Doctor and taking it on the road and helping people. That's kind of a transformation and the achievement together. Explain how that's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's really what we're doing right now. It's what you're doing. It's what this is all about. Is we got to educate people, right? Mm-hmm. People just don't know. There are a lot of caring doctors out there that they just don't know. And then
are they receptive?
Some are. Yeah. In fact, I just had a conference in Atlanta. We had a couple surgeons there getting into this space. So it's they're starting to come out and see like what they're doing isn't the best option available, and they have a heart for people and they want to know the best option. So it's many of them are more than I've ever seen in 20 years.
Is there a thought process where it's younger doctors or the older doctors kind of buying into it?
Older doctors. Yeah. The guys that have been in the game for a while and they're kind of wising up. I think COVID really kind of opened up everybody's eyes about like the world isn't necessarily what we believed it was. Right,
Obviously,
maybe, maybe we ought to start questioning some things. So I think we've seen that in the medical community as well. A lot of doctors have said, "This ain't right." What happened here, the way we did this wasn't the right approach. We need to start looking and asking questions, right? Asking good questions.
And so you're going to take it on the road and provide more knowledge. And are you still going to do treatments on the road, or are you going to do it in?
Yeah, as a chiropractor, I don't do any stem cell treatments, right? We work with medical doctors.
When I had it, of course, there was a doctor, and I can't say.
Yeah, we still have our office where we do some stuff. We have a clinic, like I said, in Colombia where we refer patients out, in Costa Rica. So I'm involved in expanding these. We're going to build wellness centers, but really, what I want to do next year is just go on the road and educate. Do lectures, do public lectures, do podcasts, work with doctors. There's a lot of people out there that are sick, that are suffering, that have pain, and they literally want to do the reasonable thing. They just don't know what that is. So that educator in me, that junior high teacher that gave up that to go be a chiropractor now says, I want to go back and educate
best
people.
Of both worlds.
Yeah, get to educate people on what their options are, and then help facilitate and educate. So, motivate, educate, and inspire them and coach them to take actions is really where I'm going next year.
You still have your credential?
My doctor's license?
No, your
your teaching credential? Yeah. Well, actually, my doctor's license. Hopefully, no, I actually never did get credentialed.
Oh, okay.
I did an emergency credential,
Okay.
and they liked me so much they kept me on. So at the school, they let me in on an emergency
I'm
credential.
pretty sure you're safe with the DR in front of your name.
Yeah.
I'd trust you teaching my child.
I like that, Steve.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, is there anything else you want to ask while you're here? Because
I could ask 1,000,001 questions.
Keep going, Steve.
Let's fall back to the gut.
Okay.
Because so many people don't understand. Like we talked about stem cell and how stem cell is the future.
Yeah.
And it heals. But a lot of the problems that people think they would need stem cell from comes out of the stomach.
Yeah.
Just in general, how would you best tell somebody start? And that's why I keep falling back to the start, because most people, they want to go and do something great. No, sometimes you just have to start. Like I tell people, stop drinking soda. Watch what happens.
Oh yeah, go to the basics. Start drinking water. Give up all the crap. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to your whole foods. Go back to organic foods. Go back to your clean eating, and then get on a gut program. I'm not going to promote any specific gut program, but get on one. There's a bunch of good ones out there.
When you say gut program,
oh man, you got to fix that gut, man.
Okay, let's be a little more. You don't have to promote a product,
but be specific.
But you can promote different entities inside of a product.
Okay. Yeah, and gut health is you wouldn't come to me for gut health as a provider, right? That'd be something I'd refer you out to another provider. But there's a lot of good nutritional products that are going to help that.
That'd be Sports Lab.
Yeah, that would be somebody like yourself that would do that. So tons of good products, tons of really bad products, right? So you need to find somebody that's,
because most people are going to go, when they hear gut product, the first thing they're going to do is go, I eat my fiber.
Yeah,
that's just releasing some bowels. That's not fixing the problem.
Yeah.
So you've got your kales, your greens, your seaweeds. You've got all these different things. You got the charcoals. You've got all these different things that lay out.
The apple cider vinegar, the probiotics.
Okay, let's talk about apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
People love to take it, and they say it makes you lose weight. But when do you take your apple cider vinegar? When would you best recommend it?
Some believe in the morning on an empty stomach. Some are going at night. I'd defer to you on that. When do you like it?
When, Steve?
I prefer in the morning, just because it regulates the blood sugar.
Yeah. So some do both. The celery juice I know is a big thing now.
Isn't this funny? Because I've done it for 50 years just because I was told to do it. Oh, that's why I do it. Okay.
Yeah, it was Paul Bragg that brought that to the what? If you get a chance to read his book, it's a good one.
Alkaline water. It's everywhere, but not every water is alkaline water.
Yeah.
What do people need to understand about alkaline water as far as gut health goes?
Oh yeah, well, I like to think of the pool, right? If your chemicals in your pool are off, if your pH in your pool is off, the viruses, the bacteria, the molds are going to grow out of control. So our body has a pH level; it needs to maintain that. So by drinking pH stuff, whether that's the apple cider vinegar, whether that's eating an alkaline diet, people just go on an alkaline anti-inflammatory diet will change their life. Whether that's drinking alkaline water, you're going to get your alkaline range where the viruses, bacteria aren't going to be able to have a party and multiply, right? They're going to die off just naturally. So extremely important. The real space is the hydrogen water now, if you haven't looked into that.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
He's saying something you don't know?
Yeah, well, that's why. That's
Hydrogen,
why I'm grilling
yeah.
him.
I love it.
Yeah, all the alkaline guys are moving into the hydrogen space now.
No.
Yeah.
Let's differentiate. What's the difference?
So alkaline water, so you're going to have, and the bottled alkaline stuff is going to have a limited effect for you, right? Once you bottle it, put it in plastics, you're going to lose 90% of that benefit. So there's machines, that you're going to get, and they're going to take your water and they're going to alkalize it, ionize it. So it's going to give it a positive ORP charge. So you understand the ORP and all that kind of stuff. And then it's going to microcluster it or break it up into smaller water molecules. So it's really a 3-part process to the ionization. The problem with the conventional machines, your Kangen machines and all these other things, is if you don't clean those machines every 2 weeks, they lose their ability to really create that hydrogen bond break in the water, which is really what the science says does the healing, not the alkalinity part.
Okay.
So it's really the hydrogen change in that process that really has the healing. And so there's the hydrogen part of that water is what they think is the major factor for that.
So that's what we're leveling up to, just getting rid of it and just getting it at its source where it's not being processed, for lack of better verbiage.
Yeah, or maintaining that right ionization process of the water when you get it. You know, so and it's kind of like your fresh juice, right? You can juice something and ship it, and it's going to have limited value to it. But if you juice it and drink it right away, kind of like the whether you're doing the hydrogen water or the alkaline water or the ionized water, you got to kind of get it fresh when it's first out of that dill.
Now, would that refer back to the alkaline package that you can buy and turn your water into alkaline, or is that something you have to do?
Now that's probably going to last for a long time, and you're going to get the alkalinity of it, but you're not going to get the ionization and the ORP and the hydrogenation, which is really what the 13,000 or so studies that are out there show is the major driving to cure cancer and cognitive function and
that's why
fix your body,
that's why
fix your gut, fix your gut. You can look that up.
You're helping me right now, Steve.
That's why I was digging. I was digging for that to come out so people can hear like this is why you need it.
Yeah, there's like 13,000 studies in it. They've known this for a long time, government-funded studies.
Because almost every alkaline water you see on the market has some sort of electrolyte added, some sort of salt added in, and it just cheapens. It just turns out to be Gatorade.
Yeah. Anything gets bought up by big corporations, right? Ends up being, not necessarily the best thing for us.
Always watered down.
Yeah.
Profit margin, right? Is that what we call it?
Hey.
So yeah, looking at hydrogen water is some cool stuff.
You gave me some homework.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yes.
Well, Steve, we could go on forever.
Yes.
I love the questions, Curt. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
So we're very unashamedly promoting. So tell people how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, so Invista Medical Neck and Back Center is our office here in Bakersfield, and then tomorrowdoctor.com. You can get on there. We'll update that website, but right now it's got my mission statement on there, a little video. There's a form you can fill out, and that'll get you in touch with me. They'll actually schedule if you want to do a free consult. At this time, I'm doing them for free. That's not going to last for long. We'll start charging as my schedule fills up.
Oh, drag him in.
Hurry.
That's what he learned at the business.
But you can fill that out, and they'll schedule on my calendar, and they'll get you on. We'll jump on a 20-minute call, figure out what we can do, send you to, even if you're not in Bakersfield, I got doctors all over the country, resources, virtual stuff, nutritional experts.
Sportslanders West now needs to go on the website.
This thing where they stick them in a box and they ship them to you, all that cool stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, advertise Sportslanders West, brothers.
Hey, well, come on down. We're located at 7420 District Boulevard. Come on down, check us out. And I'm going to get this, and yes, that's all I can say. My brain is spinning because I enjoyed every second of this.
Yeah, me too, man. Great questions.
Like this,
Great questions, man. Yeah, love it.
Curt, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you guys, man. This is great.
Thank you for joining Muscle Matters, because muscles do matter, and there's matters that muscles need to be talked about. Hey, take care. God bless.